Hi, this is Chaplain NC with another segment of New Creation Concepts, prophetic principles to inspire vision and innovation. Uh, Speaking of such, I may change my glasses. I mean, these are cool and all because they're Ray-Bans, and the prescription glasses, and just to help me with my slight astigmatism there in my left eye. And so, but you see, with the light bouncing off of it, I can start looking like cyborg man, cyborg man, So I may just switch them off to my old fogey looking just regular black frame blue blockers. And since they're blue blockers, and it protects your eyes from being in front of the computer a lot and all that, the blue light, it doesn't reflect as much. So I think I'll do this. Now, in this segment of New Creation Concepts, the last time I followed Tom Delgado to New York City of the dark side of Brooklyn. And so this time I'm feeling led to try to brighten things up a little bit. I mean, Tom Delgado, he's a funny guy. So stand-up comic, and he's a great tour guide. He's very knowledgeable of the history of all the boroughs of New York City. And so you can find him on Tom D NYC. Tom D New York City, NYC. And I'll put it on the comment. Now, of course, it's going to be in the description, so you can just follow him as well, and like and subscribe to his channel because he's great. Talks about a lot of stuff throughout New York, and he keeps you laughing while he's doing it. Perfect time for a plug-in. Last time it was the dark side. Well, I'm trying to bring you from the dark side of the moon to the brighter side, okay? And speaking of such, here's my book. Once again, Transition by yours truly, Nelson Colón. If you look for it on Amazon and just put my name, Nelson Colón, Transition, Nelson Colón, it will come up. And every proceed, every sale that I make, or the proceeds that I get from selling this book, it's my story for his glory. I've been clean 25 plus years, clean and sober. Okay, I was an alcoholic since the age of 12. I had a rough upbringing, and I eventually inevitably went to harder drugs and all that. But by the grace of God and the power, the empowerment of His Holy Spirit, I was delivered one day when I finally was able to forgive my father. There's power in forgiveness. Don't you forget that. That's why Jesus came to die for you, so that God the Father can forgive you of all your sins. So don't treat that like it's nothing. Okay, it's the greatest gift that God has given us, the greatest blessing. Don't miss out on it, because it could mean you're forever. So I'm going to be following, once again, Tom Delgado on the brighter side of the moon. He's going to be going to my old stomping grounds of Bushwick, Brooklyn, which is right on the borderline of Queens, Ridgewood, Queens. So if you live further up toward Myrtle and Broadway, you were closer to the borderline of going into Ridgewood, Queens. So they call it Bushwick/Ridgewood, Ridgewood section. And so I'm talking about, I was just doing the cyborg man, the robot. Back in the day, we did the robot, we did all this stuff. They started putting the skating, with the music and the disco music. All that was from my era of the 70s. We used to line up, and this is why I'm wearing this old gangster hat, my little Applejack, what they call Applejack. This is actually a more reserved kind of style, smaller, more refined for a man my age. I'm 65. Tomorrow will be 66. Actually, it was the day just before my birthday, May 8th. And so but back in the day, we used to wear it like extra large, and it would be coming off our heads like a dome, look like we were like a flying saucer. We were ready to take off. And so we would wear the Applejacks or the Spitfires, with the same kind of button in the center, looking gangster. We would wear the flowery shirts, and then we put a vest over it, a nice shiny vest, like a Western looking vest. suspenders. We would get some what they call grandfather pants because it looked like we just grabbed an old pair of our grandfather's pants, pleated pants with the cuffs on the bottom. And we wear these baggy pants with the suspenders and the vest, and we be like, putting on the Playboy shoes. I used to get the two-tone with the flat patent leather shoes, leather on it, navy blue with gold, and just be gangstering on down, trying to be like original gangsters. But we, once again, like to this day, we're still just gangster wannabes with the rap and all this other stuff. But back in the day, it was disco. And so we would, we would line up in the clubs and just, just be posing until, and being cool and checking out the ladies and, and so a little drink in the hand, and doing the little two-step, with the music, staying in the groove. And as soon as songs like I Can Understand It by Newbirth will come on, all the guys would line up, the girls would stop do the hustle and sit down, sit it out, while we're like stop battle dancing in the middle of the disco club. And we were just having fun, just people, many times we knew each other. We just grew up in the neighborhood, and we were just nobody was taking, trying to kill nobody, and so it was totally harmless. And so Tom Delgado, the reason why I'm doing all this, Tom Delgado is going to go through my side of Brooklyn, which Bushwick, Ridgewood section of Brooklyn, and he's going to walk you through. And so I'm going to comment on it, as well as he does it, and be part of my own neighborhood. So I'll say, hey, I remember hanging out there and such, and it even shows where I did my communion as a good little Catholic boy when I was 11 at St. Barbara's Church off of Bleecker and Central. So you'll see that as well in the beginning of the video. I'll try to play out as much video as possible without hopefully becoming too mundane, and then I'll come off it. And finish up the video so you don't get bored, okay? And hopefully, you'll be enjoying it. Check out Tom D, once again, NYC. Like and subscribe his videos, please, as well as mine now. Even in this me commenting on his video, walking through Bushwick. Okay? Thank you so much. And without further ado, let's put on Tom Delgado inside Bushwick. Come on, Tom. Let's do it. Let me get it back to the beginning here. 1 second while I set this up. Get back to about there. Start it off. Here we go.
Hello.
Hello, Tom. What's going on?
That's where today's tour is going to be. I'm walking through the neighborhood of Bushwick today. It's going to be a nice one. Someone was picked by my Patreon people. That being said, please like the video. That's great. Give it a little thumbs up. Subscribe. That helps a lot. A little analytics, as they say. And also, please check out the Patreon. That helps me a ton. That helps me a ton. Helps me to, improve these videos, make them more frequent, all that stuff. So it's because of you guys. So thank you. But anyways, that all out of the way. Today we're going to be walking through Bushwick. It's going to be a nice little walk. Got a lot to cover. A lot of history here, as in most neighborhoods here in New York.
Nice St. Barbara's, told you.
Should be great.
That's
what do you think, old Phil? Should we do this?
Yeah, let's get it started.
I like it. Assertive man, assertive booming voice.
You gotta be.
Okay, well, I guess we should just get it started then.
Bring it.
Let's go.
Oh, picked up some graffiti
So
skills.
This is Knickerbocker.
I used to go to art and design
walking down Flushing.
First started. Back in the day.
Kind of considered
Back in
partly East Williamsburg to the other side. East Williamsburg doesn't really exist. It's something they gave, later on to kind of, up property value, make it more exclusive, all that stuff. It's not really a thing from back in the day, but whatever. It's Bushwick too. I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with the traffic now, Tom. It gets crazy out there. I know. I'm from those stomping grounds. Be careful.
Go ahead and visit
both ways. Yep.
Criticizecom.com. Great little
There's
website.
some crazy guys be going trying to.
So we're walking on Flushing, and we're crossing Knickerbocker. Now, Knickerbocker gets its name from Diedrich Knickerbocker, who was actually Washington Irving, an author who wrote the history of New York City. In 1809, he wrote this at 26 years old. And knickerbocker was kind of this term. Well, first of all, it's pants. It's like baggy kneed pants.
No, we didn't
Phil's
wear
got a
those
couple
pants. We
pairs
wore
of
the
those,
grandfather
right?
pants. Don't get it twisted. Come on, Tom.
But anyways, knickerbocker became the term used for people who can trace their ancestry back to the original Dutch colonists of New Amsterdam. So, for example, Roosevelt. Who else? Vanderbilts. They can trace their lineage. And here, to my other side, you want to get this back. I'm walking by the Loom. This is the Shops at the Loom. This is actually a shopping mall that was created a little while back in an old pillow factory. It's not a little shopping mall. It's like 25,000 square feet. But this is an example of some of the old industrial buildings that used to be in this neighborhood that are being converted into other things today. So we're going to cross here. Almost get hit by a car. That's great. Some people don't really care about hitting mothers, so that's fine.
Can't be talking and walking and looking behind.
So like I was saying, these buildings are all industrial. Like on the other side, too, of Flushing, you have some, of Bushwicks / East Williamsburg, whatever. I consider
East
Bushwick,
New York.
but yeah, I think so, too. I think so, too. But like Roberta's is over there. We don't start all the way over there. Roberta's is an old pizzeria. Not old, 2008, but it's like they call it like a hipster haven, I guess. That's what it was called in like the New York Times and all that stuff. It was recently partly sold to the Tisch family, which is a dynastic family here in New York.
Train station
like the Tisch School of the Arts at NYU.
Every wall you can
Tisch
find
Hospital.
becomes like a campus.
They got a lot of money. They got their money through the Lowe's. The hotel Lowe's, like the Lowe's in Miami, that. And then they expanded into other stuff. Got a lot of dough. They're worth a lot of billions of dollars.
Freshman and art and design.
Now they own, I guess, part of Roberta's.
Like
and you also have the Boar's Head factory over there as well. Boar's Head started here in Brooklyn.
Boar's Head.
Boar's Head, yeah. Boar's Head, the meat company.
Good things do come out from Brooklyn.
It started in Brooklyn in 1905. The headquarters are now in Florida, which is where I'm from. They moved there because of the supermarket Publix. Publix uses Boar's Head, so they moved their stuff there, their headquarters, but they still have a plant here. Pretty cool. So anyways, you can see some of the street art there. We can check that out. It's pretty cool, right?
In ATL-Metro.
That's another thing that this neighborhood's famous for, which we're going to talk about as we go. We're walking down Flushing. Flushing's named just like the town of Flushing in Queens. Now, it's important to remember that New York City, we think of New York City as just this unified city. It wasn't always like that. In fact, Brooklyn didn't actually unify with the rest of the city until 1898, as was when unification happened, when the consolidation. I've talked about this a billion times. It's one of the most important dates in New York City history. It's when the city consolidated as one solid city. Before that, that's when it became Queens, Staten Island, Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx, right?
Wow, look at that.
Before that, Brooklyn was its own city. And before that, Queens was just a county of different towns. And Flushing was one of those towns. This road would take you in that direction to Flushing.
Wow, look at that.
Also, too, Brooklyn was just a collection of towns before it became a city in 1836. So, you got to keep that in mind, Brooklyn became an actual city in 1836, and it was only one part, and then it subsumed Williamsburg and Bushwick. Bushwick was its own town. It was one of the original 6 towns of Brooklyn when it was still Dutch. It was actually named Bushwick. Bushwick.
Really?
I'm butchering that. I'm sorry.
I would have never guessed
Dutch. But anyways, it started as Bushwick or whatever, one of the 6 original towns of Brooklyn. And it became its own village, and it was eventually pulled into Brooklyn in 1855, along with Williamsburg.
Wow.
All right, let's cross here, Phil. But you can see this is all still very industrial. Now, the history of Bushwick is that, it was all like a lot of this area, a lot of Brooklyn early on was a lot of farms and plots of land. But a couple things happened here, specifically in Bushwick, in the mid-1800s. Now, one of the things that happened was the Germans. The Germans, ich spreche Deutsch, ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch.
Speak the Deutsch.
But that happened. The Germans started coming in the mid-1800s. There was some failed revolutions in Europe. It was kind of dicey over there, so a lot of them came here. And a lot of them came to Bushwick specifically. A lot of them went to the East Village as well, but a lot of them came here. And because of that, breweries became a big thing here in Bushwick and in Brooklyn.
Awesome history.
So by the 1890s, there was like 45 different breweries here in Brooklyn. And there was a Brewers Row here in Bushwick with 14 breweries just in this little Brewers Row.
I'm so proud being a Brooklyn.
And that was all here. And when the last brewery left in 1976, but now they're starting to pop up back up again. We'll see some as we walk.
Beaver
Street. A lot of these,
Beaver Street.
Industrial buildings.
To hang out with our beaver hats.
This is what it kind of was. So, anyways, it becomes industrial end of the 1800s, along with breweries, and becomes a the actual Long Island Railroad still has actually a little kind of station that passes through Bushwick, and now it's used for freight. But that was one of the things that made it a popular industrial area.
Okay.
Right? So it becomes industrial. You had a lot of Germans. By the
very
end of World War
industrial out
I,
there,
those Germans turned into Italians. And after World War II, this neighborhood falls into the crap.
The Navy Yard.
This happened a lot in New York City, actually. We talked about other neighborhoods where this happened. We talked about this in Soho. That's right. I did that in the video. Come on, Phil, give it to me.
Plug in.
Yeah.
Boom.
Other neighborhoods as well. Dumbo, a ton of them had the same problem because industry was leaving the cities.
Down and
Going
under
to places where
the
land was
metropolitan
cheaper outside of the cities, highways were being
Midtown,
developed, making
Midtown.
it more accessible.
Manhattan
so it was a big
Bridge.
problem.
Down and
right?
under Manhattan Bridge.
So this neighborhood falls into kind of decay. And then at the same time, you had immigrants, certain type of immigrants coming into neighborhoods like this, one of which was the Puerto Ricans.
And here.
That's a sick.
Oh. Okay.
No.
Yo. Time for a break.
Mama said there'll be days.
Okay. Going through there, Flushing, and as he's walking up, he's passing Irving. I lived actually on Linden Street, 347 Linden, as well as 280 Linden, between Knickerbocker and Irving, when I used to go to junior high school 111 and Rico Fermi out there in Star Street in Knickerbocker. And we used to go hanging out by the Knickerbocker Park and all that. That was just a place to be, to hang out. Small little, nowhere near as big. It's just like a cornerstone of Central Park, really. It might have been like maybe 2 or 3 blocks in length and 2-3 blocks in width. Just one big square up there on close to Star Street and Knickerbocker. But I just need this to, let me try to skip this stupid ad here. There's so many ads, They need to stop doing that to us YouTubers, man. Let's see, there's got to be a better way. I know you can edit it too, but I don't got time for all that. Let's see, let me see. Here. And skip it and go back to Tom Delgado.
You had a lot of Germans. By the end of World War I, those Germans turned into Italians.
There we go.
Then after World War II, this neighborhood falls into crap.
I used to be able to hang out in Bensonhurst, Bay Ridge, wherever.
Actually.
I thought I was
we talked
Italian.
about other neighborhoods where this
Hey,
happened.
Vinny, what's up, man? Forget
That's
about
right. I did that in the video. Come on, Phil, give it to me.
Another plug.
Other neighborhoods as well. Dumbo, a ton of them had the same problem because industry was leaving the cities. And it was going to places where land was cheaper outside of the cities. Highways were being developed, making it more accessible. So it was a big problem, right? So this neighborhood falls into kind of decay. And then at the same time, you had immigrants, certain type of immigrants coming into neighborhoods like this, one of which was the Puerto Ricans.
Once again, I think we just
That's
went
a sick motorcycle, bruh. Sick hog, right?
That's
You're
when
sick
we got
hog.
the break.
Keep it down. I'm trying to do a video here. People are trying to learn things here. But anyways, you had at that time, you had Puerto Ricans was a big immigrant group coming into the United States in the mid-1900s. They had achieved Commonwealth status. They had a huge surplus of labor in Puerto Rico, and it was a big problem, so they were pushing the immigration to mainland United States at the time.
Yep.
By the way, Puerto Ricans, the Jones Act also allowed them, which was
Not
1970,
really
to allow them
immigrants,
more
because
freedom of
Puerto
movement
Rico was
within,
made into a
the United
commonwealth
States.
before even our parents came.
So now
to
we're walking
New
by
York.
Wyckoff, and we're going to walk up.
Things to know.
Let's cross
So
the
we're
street. Go to
all, even our
Wyckoff or
parents
St.
were
Nicholas. What do you think?
naturalized citizens
To
of
walk down
New
into
York,
Wyckoff.
of the United States.
All right,
I
Phil,
call.
well, do what you want to do.
It's a little close to Myrtle
So Wyckoff,
and
this is a
Wyckoff.
really fun little strip of bars
More
and
closer
restaurants.
to Ridgewood.
All right, so we're crossing Wyckoff because Phil said so. We're crossing Wyckoff, and this is an area of the town, an area of Bushwick.
Good
that is
call,
always
Bill.
super active, tons of people here at night. It's a real party atmosphere. You can start seeing these old industrial buildings. A lot of these have been converted into artist lofts, into apartments. You can also see things that are for lease, space for lease, and rents have gone up here in this area too. This brings me to a big issue here today in Bushwick and in New York, but specifically in places like Bushwick that are coming up, and that's gentrification, baby. Yikes. It's a big deal. We'll talk about that as we go too. Over here to the right, you have the House of Yes. So the House of Yes was actually started in 2007 by these two artists who used to throw these parties in their lofts and warehouse spaces. And then eventually they teamed up with a club kind of person, a promoter. And they started this building. It's very, very crazy. Like they have theme nights. Like you have to dress up as certain things. Like you dress up as, they have like flappers in the 1920s. They have like, alien disco, all that kind of stuff. There's still tons of artists in this neighborhood. And I got the chance to talk to one who's known all over New York.
I am a Bushwick pigeon, that is for sure. Born and raised in Bushwick, and I fly around the streets every day, and some nights too.
Sesame Street?
What do you like about Bushwick?
Well, I like the people, I like the noise, I like noise, and I love trash. I love trash all over the ground because that's more food for me! Frankie!
So I'm here with Tina Pina, a.k.a. Mother Pigeon, in her apartment here in Bushwick. How you doing? Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming.
We're here in your workshop, correct? This is where you make your art.
Correct.
So what is your art? Describe your art for the viewers at home.
I make rats and pigeons.
And you sell these in New York City. You go out into the street.
I sit on the street and I put them out and people buy them from me. Yeah.
So how long have you been making the art and bringing it out into the street?
Well,
I've been doing this project for 7 years.
Your passion can fall into any area.
You were a musician before?
Of creativity.
Well, I was in a band with my husband and daughter, but now I'm actually a visual artist and a crafter. And so when we stopped doing that, I was really excited to
the theme of this one is art.
Do you mind if I see that?
New York street art.
It's actually very cute. Much cuter than the rats that I've seen. I used to live in a building with lots of rats, and I don't know if you've seen people have to stomp when they come up to the building.
Wow.
Yeah, because then they start running away so you don't step on them.
Oh.
Yeah, that's really putting a number on the type of place I live in, but yeah. How did you get the idea to make stuffed rats and stuffed pigeons for sale and for shows?
To live in New York.
I saw someone was knitting pigeons, and then it was really expensive, and I was like, okay, I can't afford that, but I could probably make one out of fabric, and I made a few, and I took them, and I was working on them, and took them to a party and sat in the corner and was working on them, and people were like, oh my God, I want to buy that.
Where you just went to someone's party and just sat in the corner and made pigeons during the party.
That's how I party.
Sounds like an interesting party, I guess. So I'm sure kids love these, right?
Yeah.
Kids must go nuts.
Yep, kids, mainly adults.
Yeah, a lot of people
Yeah.
like that
Yeah,
on design.
Adults in New York are kind of kids, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Out there.
Yeah. Wow. So it's been a pretty successful endeavor in a way, huh?
It's been amazing. Yeah, I can't. It's really it is my dream come true. I have this dream of being here, and just trailing my little suitcase to the park and selling pigeons in the park and not having to go into the city. And just being
the pigeon lady that they
woman
used
who
in
does that
that's
thing.
where they got the
She does
idea
it
in
Hernandez
Home
Park,
Alone.
and
That's great. I think that's what makes New York so interesting is that there are these people and characters that they're the pillars of the community. Everyone around in the neighborhood doesn't know each other, but they do all know that one person. And so it's kind of the glue that holds communities together. Your workshop, you do all your work here in this area, here in your apartment. So how long have you been in Bushwick?
12 years have been here.
So you've seen Bushwick change a good amount, I imagine.
Yep. But we're lucky to have a good place. It's rent stabilized and all that.
Used
So
to
we're
be guys
good.
back in the day,
I
the
love
old gangs and
I
stuff.
love
They used
the
to-
Mexican
they used to put
people and flair
pigeon
of
coops up
the
on their roof
restaurants,
and
I'm Mexican,
fly
so
pigeons
it just
around.
feels nice, and there's a lot of artists here, and it's a good place.
Frankie, are you saying that Bushwick has a lot of trash all over?
Look, let me just say this. There are receptacles to throw trash in, and sometimes the trash does not land in those receptacles. It's on the street for me.
Is this Sesame Street again? Oh, I have mercy.
Bushwick birds.
Where's Elmo?
Bushwick squirrels. Bushwick people feed the world.
So are Bushwick pigeons different from any other types of pigeons? Like are they more artistic? Or are they a little rough around the edges?
There they are.
To be serious, I think they're a little shy.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. They just seem a little shy. They haven't been really
Colón.
handled
Flying rats.
much like the
Rats
the
with
city
wings.
pigeons.
Some people like the hustle and bustle. I guess the Manhattan pigeons are all more about the hustle, and time is money for those pigeons, I
You
guess.
better
right?
not park your car under
I
a
was
bridge
lucky enough
because
to
they'll,
spend a
the
whole
next
day
day
with
you better
Tina
take
and
it to the
Jason.
car wash.
And the
They'll be
experience
all
really changed me.
Tom, thanks for coming over.
Oh, it's
Bomb
great
in your
to have
car.
you over.
Oh, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it. You guys,
So professional.
you guys are you
Tom,
guys are the pros.
It's what we do.
Okay.
It's what we do.
See ya.
Oh, hey, great. Thanks. See you guys around Bushwick. Huh?
See you around
See
Bushwick.
Bushwick.
He's a
That's
tour and
Don't worry, they haven't
entertainer.
done it.
My beak, my beak.
He's a stand-up comic. Yeah,
Okay.
I mentioned that.
Bye.
So he's so funny. Yeah.
Well, that was fun. After changing back into a
About
tour
Tina
guide, it
and
was
Jason.
time to get back to where we left off. Where life takes you, huh? Over here to the...
And another necessary.
the right, you have the Cobra Club.
Okay. Yeah.
Cobra Club was actually started by, did you know this, Phil? That was so me and Phil actually do comedy there. A good amount, there's a lot of comedy there. And that was actually started by two women who had a yoga. They started yoga and a beer and alcohol. They did, yeah, they sold like drinks at this yoga place pretty much. And they still do that, and they still do yoga there too. Check it out. This is Troutman.
Troutman. That was right close to
We're
my
gonna walk up
junior high
Troutman,
school.
and you're gonna see the Bushwick
Junior high
Art
school I
Collective
used to
here.
go to.
The
Between
Bushwick Art
Austin
Collective
and
was
Troutman.
started in 2013 by a guy named Joe Piccolora. Now he's from the neighborhood
Wilson,
actually,
is
and
it?
his
Was out
dad
through
was
Alfred
murdered here when he was
Wilson
12 years
Avenue.
old. His
Locked
dad was
down from
murdered for like
Nickelback.
a chain that he was wearing and his
Lumberjacks.
wallet when he was 12
All right,
years
don't
old.
comment on that.
So as a way to kind of like erase these bad memories of the neighborhood, he thought he
TMI.
would start inviting artists to come here and use the walls and paint the walls. You have all these different, these are all artists
They
who
have
painted
evolved.
and have been invited to paint part of the
Artwork
Bushwick
back
Art
in the
Collective.
70s wasn't that nice. But
Pretty
yeah,
nice.
they have really
Not really
made the
graffiti
walls
though.
of Brooklyn, city,
Graffiti is illegal. That's
into
when
a
you go and
canvas.
you tag something or you just create something. This is all with permission. These buildings
Yeah.
kind of give their spaces
Yeah,
for these
I'm gonna
artists.
say, they gotta get
So it creates like
permission
this
from the
living
state.
gallery. A lot of these things, there's constant turnover.
But they're just
You come here
painted
one
over.
year and the next year all the pieces are different. Some stay the same, but most of them, you know, are turning over constantly. I'm going to take you right now to kind of the corner here, like the 5 points of Bushwick over here.
Okay.
But they're really pretty pieces of painting, you know? Pretty pieces of painting. That's a very, very scientific. You can tell I know what I'm
Yankees.
talking about.
Yes,
Got
indeed.
Notorious B.I.G. here,
Bronx
who was
Bombers.
from Bed-Stuy / Clinton Hill.
I was out
And
there.
then you got some other ones here.
Bushwick
That's a
on
cool
the
one right there.
borderline of Bed-Stuy.
Another Notorious B.I.G. You like Notorious B.I.G., Phil? What's your favorite song? Yeah?
Every day's a
He was
struggle.
only 23 when he died. Isn't that nuts? They have all these here.
Shame, you know.
Show you these. This guy, this is Cipros right here. He's a Brazilian guy who draws these guys with the big ears and stuff. He draws these around.
Because everyone wants to be a gangster. That's
Cipros.
what you end up, you know,
Pretty cool.
reap
See that
what
one
you
over
sow.
there?
God's
Another
not
pretty cool
mocked.
one there. See that? It's pretty, you know, this isn't just like, you know, Johnny was here. They're actually painting some
Rest
pretty
in
cool
peace,
stuff.
Biggie.
See some more over here too. We're gonna take a left here, Phil.
Oh, my condolences to the family. Biggie.
And you're gonna see a lot of little homes and stuff. This was, like I said, this was kind of developed as like a little middle class area. You know, a lot of, like I said, a lot of Italians, Germans and Italians,
When I was
Then,
growing up, there were a lot
you
of
know, Puerto
Italians
Ricans
in our neighborhood, Bushwick.
and
little by little,
African-American.
it's,
Like there's a big black community here.
More blacks and Hispanics started moving
Bushwick,
in.
though, we were talking about
Italians started
gentrification.
moving out, going more
What's
toward
happening
Bensonhurst
is,
and
so
Berry.
Bushwick is a pretty depressed neighborhood
And Ridgewood.
with land value. There
Queens,
has been
yeah.
for land value because of certain things.
Nichols.
Redlining, this neighborhood was redlined. This was a neighborhood that, you know, for decades after FDR, no one here could get a loan, a home loan, or accrue wealth. It was just pretty much neglected. And it was only
Star
the poor who
Street.
lived here for a very long time.
And
Which kept it
Nicholas.
from being
Star Street,
developed,
that's
kept it
where,
from, you know.
my junior high school.
And when you
Back in
have
the
a
day,
neighborhood
I
that
love
is
that.
kind of
Junior
got
high school
zero,
was the best time.
there's a lot of incentive to
Educational
invest money in it
process.
because there's a lot of profit to be made, right? If you go into a neighborhood that's middle class already and you want to develop that, you're not going to make as much money because the land value is already pretty high. You come into neighborhoods like this to really, like, you know, literally triple, quadruple your investment. And so what happens is you come in and you buy these places, then you push the city to do things like rezone certain buildings, rezone certain
Made a
blocks,
lot of good
and then you
friends
could take that
because
property you
it
have
was,
and
it was
build
an
a huge
innocent
condo.
time, you know, the
Imagine that,
transition
buy a
between
few
grade
cheap
school
houses,
and high school.
they rezone a block,
And I
and
wasn't
you
all
can build,
strung out on
you
drugs
know,
then, you know.
100-unit
So,
condo building, and that's
involved
kind of
in
what's
myself
happening
with
right now.
gangs and all that.
Problem is, those units are usually for luxury. Those units are usually
It's
for a
again,
certain type of
plugging.
person,
It's time
and
for
they
plugging
neglect
into
some of the
my
things that
book.
make the neighborhood
It's
special,
all
like the
in my
diversity.
book. Get it on Amazon.
Here's a really cool
Transition. Yours
place.
truly, Nelson
Los
Colón.
Hermanos Tortilleria. This is a actual tortilla factory. Pretty cool, huh? All right. So
Forget to
they
like
actually have
and
a tortilla
subscribe.
factory in there.
Reminds me.
Pretty awesome. And then you could just what ended up happening was in 2006, this tortilla factory was like, yo, we're just gonna start selling our own food. So they actually had their own food cart, their own meat cart inside the tortilla factory, and they would just sell people the tortillas and the tacos already made. Problem was that was not up to code. the health department said, yeah, you can't do that. You can't just be a restaurant if you want to be a restaurant.
You
So
get
they
sick.
shut them down, and then a few years later they reopened. It was like the cool it thing, like, hey, you know, there's this tortilla factory that has, and it got shut down. Here's some more street art.
That looks nice. It was like,
There's actually a
like
beer
a
garden.
village a little bit.
When the weather turns nice.
Excellent beer garden.
Here to the left, you have artichoke pizza. Artichoke pizza was actually started in the, hey, check it out. That? I'm trying to fake you out, Phil. Check it out.
Oh my God.
Pretty cool, huh?
A Buddha
All right,
in
let's
the
keep
middle of
moving.
the street. Man, Brooklyn
That's
has
artichoke
changed.
pizza. I was saying that actually started in New York. In
Brooklyn has
2008, it
changed
started
a
in East
lot
Village,
since
and that place used to have lines around the block. It's famous for its artichoke slice. It's got like,
New
you know,
York,
artichoke
Florida,
dip pretty
back,
much as the
you know,
sauce.
That came out the Navy.
I mean, it sounds pretty good, but it's a lot to eat, man. It's like really, really filling.
Late
I'm not crazy
80s
about it.
into the 90s.
You eat like 3 bites and you're like, yeah, I don't want to just drink dip. That's pretty much what you're doing. You're just like drinking artichoke dip.
All right,
All right,
what's the cause?
how are we looking, Phil? How you doing, man?
Left to this part.
How do you like being in our neighborhood? I'm going fast? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna stop it here.
You know what, Phil? I'm not sorry.
Sorry,
just
not
enjoying
sorry.
myself.
I always say that.
Sorry.
All right, Tom. Thank you so much for that tour. Sorry I had to stop you. I actually almost went through the whole thing. Which time is this? 28 minutes, my lord. And so I went through 21 minutes of it. Bring it back so I can see myself. 21 minutes I'm going full cam. Of Tom Delgado. Tom D NYC for New York City. Tom D NYC. And he's got various videos of walkthroughs. Central Park is one I may want to comment on because it's great. The history behind Central Park, the whole vision of what they were thinking of having like a natural resort, kind of open resort park to meld with right in the middle of New York City is just amazing. And so I may share that next time around. And so right now, spiritually, I'm always trying to see how, the dots connect. Why God would even allow me to share this, my own stomping grounds and not be able to share. I mean, I shared about my disco time, my crazy times and the fad, of the gangster fad and actually dressing up like the old OG gangsters, like all these James Cagney, Humphrey Bogart, and Casablanca. We were like the cool gangsters. We didn't just run around with, we had that too. The gangs used to put on the dungaree, broken dungaree, and had the colors on the inside and turn them inside out. So when the cops were around, we turned and then it looked like we just got dungaree jackets on, but then in the inside, you got the colors. But anyway, but we used to just have fun, between that time of going into from junior high school to high school. There were times, there was these guys that would walk around with guns, trying to be real gangsters, and they wouldn't even reach their 20s because they end up going in the wrong neighborhoods with that attitude and get taken out. A lot of we had a lot of run-ins with the mafia right out there in that Ridgewood section, you know, in the borderline. The mafia out there, Italians did not want us to go into their neighborhood at all. They would not tolerate us at all. They let us know in so many ways, subtle ways and blatant ways, that they didn't want us out there in there. So, you know, Bushwick, Ridgewood was more black and Hispanic. And you had Italians in there too in the beginning. And, you know, then they all moved out to the outer areas of that area of Brooklyn. Went, like I said, to Bensonhurst and Bay Ridge. I used to actually, after I came out the Navy, I got a job working as a hospital cop in Lutheran Medical, which was a private hospital out there in Bay Ridge area of Brooklyn. And so, and I mixed in, you know what I mean? It was just diversified pretty much at that time. And so, but, wow, you know, it's been a while to see Brooklyn has changed so much. And so, you know, it gets me excited and inspired because it was the areas that I grew up in. So even though I was a messed up kid. And like I said, if you're interested in knowing more about my personal life, how I grew up and the things that God has delivered me from, get my book, Transition by Nelson Colón. It's on Amazon and a lot of other platforms too, Barnes & Noble and such. But like I said, proceeds from the sales of every book will go to furthering my ministry as a chaplain, trying to sponsor and mentor men as well as young men and youth, you know, to keep them out of the elements of gangs and drugs and alcohol, and help them to seek God in their own personal lives, not just religiously or ritualistically checking in, checking out of church, but I'm saying walking with God, you know, like Enoch did, walked with God, you know, and make it a personal relationship with the living Christ, because that is the power that we all need to be delivered from the vice and the misery and depression and all this stuff that tends to ail us, especially during these times of, you know, after COVID and shrinkflation, and everyone just still using that as an excuse to get avaricious and raise their prices astronomically. But together as a community and a family, in the family of God, we can help, you know, each other, pray for one another, and be there for each other. Love one another. Love yourself. Love God first and foremost, because without God's love, he was the epitome of love, of sacrifice. You know, that's unconditional love, that even while he was yet on the cross, he still prayed for his enemies that were crucifying him and saying, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. So seek that relationship to have with your Heavenly Father. Just you and God, right where you're at. Just say, Lord Jesus, I know I don't even know where to begin. Bring me to a church. Bring me to a group of people that can help support me. Bring me to some Celebrate Recovery group that would do to help me start this 12-step program so I could stay away from the drugs or the alcohol, or just living a lascivious lifestyle, or whatever it is that you're into, that you're bound up by, you know, pornography or whatever it is that really doesn't make you feel good about yourself. You know, God doesn't want you bound like that. He loves you. And that's why he sent his only son to die for you. So call out to him however you know. You don't even need to follow the model prayer, you know, Our Father, you know, or pray to Mary or whoever, you know, or the saints. Just get real with God. That's what God wants. You know, it's the cry in the heart that he hears. You want to really touch the throne of God? Just cry out to him. Just be real and let him know I'm hurting. He knows you're hurting. Just call out to him and talk to him and start having a relationship with your Heavenly Father. Amen. God bless you. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and grant you his shalom peace. Till next time, take care and God bless.